So in this section, I'm going to talk about the EXR multilayer and the CryptoMattes. So let's start with the EXR multilayer. As you can already see, we use the single layer EXR here. And we will search for the EXR multilayer node. And you can see that whenever you try to connect it, it will not allow you, because global branches and global nodes can only connect to the global input. If you will search, you can see at the top left, we have the global branch here. And if we will try to connect it, it allows you to connect the node. So let's bypass this group of nodes for now. And we will take this EXR node to the right. Let's connect it to the global branch and connect it to the global output. Here you can see that we have the exact same settings that we have in the EXR single layer. So we need to set the compression. So right now I can choose either PEAS or zip scanline. We need to enable our OCIO configuration. And we want to make sure that we are converting it again from linear rec 709 to the ACCG, because this is a linear file. So for the file name format, let's keep it the way it is and let's see what it's going to do. So just as a reminder, we enable our AOVs here. With a single layer EXR, we had a separate folder for each and every AOV. And with a multi-layer EXR, we can expect everything to be copied together. So let's save it and let's give it a render. Since I didn't change the file format, you can see that our naming and folders are not in order, but that's okay because I want to show you something. So let's take this render and let's take it into Nuke to inspect it. So as you can see, we have one file here instead of having like multiple AOVs. And you can see that we have this little icon here. And this icon here shows us that we have some layers inside of this RGB. So if I will take a look at the layer contact sheet, we can see that we have all our AOVs, including our beauty render, all together, which is great. This is exactly what we want. Because sometimes in production, you want to have this multi-layer EXR, but you want to make sure that you also have the ability to write them as single files to avoid bottlenecks in network. So that's really great because the artist now can shuffle between the different AOVs and choose exactly what I want to use. So let's make our naming convention once again. So let's delete this one. And let's try something. We can try to copy the exact same file format that we make for the single layer EXR, but I want to show you what it's going to do. As you can see, we have this huge file format naming that we can try to copy, and let's paste it here. You may expect that it's all we need to do and it's going to fix our rendering, which is kind of true, but it's going to create a new problem for us. Let's take a look at the directory. As you can see, shot number, render, version, master there. But suddenly, instead of having one file, we are going back to the point where we're having like multiple directories for each and every AOV and beauty render. And this is not what we want, because now you can see that if I'm dragging this RGB render to Nuke and looking for a layer contact sheet, we can see that we have just the RGB. So why this is happening? Well, it's because we actually forced Unreal to redirect the files and to redirect the naming of everything. The sub-renderer name is basically going to give us the AOV name, which is beauty, normal, position, and depth. So what we can do is we can actually replace these renderer subnames with different token or different text actually to make sure that we are writing it the same way that we had. So since I want everything to be inside of this beauty folder and I want everything to be master layer beauty because it's going to contain everything, I want to make a few adjustments for the EXR multi-layer naming. So instead of rendering subname, I will make sure I'm typing the beauty. And let's see what's going to happen. So you can see that we have a second version already. Inside of it, we have the layer, and inside we have just the beauty directory, which is exactly what we want. And the file name is exactly the same, called beauty. So let's make sure that it's actually working. Let's go into Nuke and paste this render. And as you can see, it fixed our problem. So in order to make sure that our naming is correct, we can try to cycle between the different versions. And as you can see, that the first version does not allow us to have any AOVs inside because it's just a beauty. And the second one, with the correct directories, having all the AOVs all together. So what we can see is that we actually need to have a separate file name format for EXR multilayers. And let's put it inside of a con. So right now we can actually work with the CryptoMattes. And the reason that I saved it to this point is because CryptoMatte or object IDs can be only used with EXR multilayers and can only be used with either zip or piece compression type. So if you will search for object ID, you can see that we have a node here. And you can see that we can connect it to the default layer, but we actually want to make sure that it's being connected to the global branch after the EXR, because CryptoMattes are only working with an EXR multilayer. So let's plug it here and let's see the different options that we have. So you can see when I'm selecting the object ID, I can choose between which ID type, either full, material, actor, actor with hierarchy, folder, and actor layers. So let's select material for now, and you can either check or uncheck include translucent objects. So this is something that you can play with. Let's render this one and let's see what's going to happen. As you can see, it looks like we are getting an additional layer, which is kind of true, because we are rendering our beauty RGB along with some object IDs masks. And this one is actually just a representation. It may not be the final output. So let's take a look at our folder in version 3. Or actually, we can just cycle between the versions in Nuke. So it looks like nothing happened, but if you will take a look at the layer contact sheet, we can see that we have additional layers from the CryptoMatte. And in order to make sure that the CryptoMatte are working, I can select CryptoMatte node, preview it, and I can see the different layers. So this way you can make sure that you're authoring your files along with AOVs and some CryptoMatte, which is really useful in compositing and can give really huge flexibility in post-production. And let's make sure that everything is under this EXR multilayer, because we want to make sure that the artist is going to know that this section is only valid when EXR multilayer is being selected. In the next section, I'm going to talk about creating parameters and how we can organize our graph to make sure that artists can change it, modify it, and work with it non-destructively, and we will enable some settings and buttons to make sure we have the full control we need in production and pipeline workflow. So see you on the next one.